Are we on? Are we on? Are we on? Are we on? All right. Here we are. Gemma G, taking you through another insight to my journey in PhD of Integrative Medicine of all things, and sharing along the way the things that I feel will be able to, I guess, help others experience the world as we know it here, and to be able to get outside of well, Groundhog Day, I suppose, for some. And perhaps what prompts me to be able to get out and share was when you've experienced the side of I guess those toxic seed patterns that seem to dictate our experiences here. And you know how conscious we need to be of the experiences that we're looking for, so choose wisely. Thoughts are electric and feelings are magnetic. So if you've been joining in, you will have picked some of that up along the way. And there's nothing truer or more true than the quantum realm and consciousness and the electromagnetic fields that, you know, is invisible yet is more real than the things that you see. You know, when you do go down the rabbit hole with quantum physics and the quantum realm, some of our pioneers in this field, say Dr. Bruce Lipton is one, Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, Dr. Goswami. Like, there are many that have been before. And it is said that the chances of this reality being a simulation are higher than the chance of this being real at all. So it is an experience, and create your avatar is what I've picked up along the way in my humble experience as a time of being a human in this realm. So I'm just going to chew the fat a little bit on principles of quantum physics in the field of cellular biology today. I won't be going into big molecular pathways, so don't worry. It's more of considering things from a different perspective. And, you know, our DNA plays such a central role in a lot of the processes, and mainly because it's a bioacoustic and biophotonic antenna. And so it is constantly sending and receiving through in this realm of consciousness, through the vital body, through the biofield that we're all emitting. So let me just solidify, if you've jumped in and you haven't gone through the initial 3 short videos that I've done, we are really light bodies. We're emitting biophotons, and there is the light circulatory system. So we're quite familiar with the blood system and the lymphatic system and the nervous system. Yet this light circulatory system is one that is often not considered when we're looking at health, for example. But more interestingly for me, personally, it's what we need to be considering if we are wanting to experience certain things in our reality. So let's see where to start with this. So non-classical fields, so those that are outside the Newton's law of physics. So let's go into, like I was saying, the vital body, going into those higher vibrations, into the auric fields. they communicate. This is why it's so essential to get out into this realm. And it's not difficult to access. Some will know it as meditation. The easiest form of expressing of how to do this is to be aware of your energy fields and to ground and to connect and to, stay in your own lane, shall we say, from an energetic perspective, because these fields communicate at speeds faster than light through non-local and instantaneous connections. So we can literally, I keep reminding myself of how much power we do have, because you can impact a biofield from a distance, which is where telepathy, distant healing, psychic readings and things are all really possible once you understand, and quite simple really, because it is through this realm that is invisible. We are all interconnected, and even without signals, and they have done studies on that where they have totally shut down the ability for an electromagnetic field to move through a wall, yet they're still able to connect with another person. So it just tells you at those subatomic levels, that's where all the information is being carried. So it's accessing that holds the key. And if you follow any of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, he talks about the body is our unconscious mind. So this is where we need to be mindful of our thoughts, because our body becomes the mind, and that is just whirring away, as I said, on that subconscious level, and is sending and receiving constantly out into the field. So we're just really getting our feet into this reality. There is much, much, much to learn. Just why I find it so exciting. I really feel that at this point in time in evolution, we're starting to truly understand what it means to have a human experience here. And the more we're able to control that, I believe the more humanity overall is going to be able to survive, essentially. So we don't hit extinction. All right, so think about your body as a quantum biocomputer. It's got the capacity to process different information simultaneously, both holographic and non-local. And this information can be associated with the physical realm, but also, as I talk about and spend most time out in the quantum realm, that's where the information really is. And so here is where we often get stuck, and why we keep hitting up against these challenges, shall we say, or find it difficult to move forward in our life. And so we keep getting similar experiences, yet they're in different clothing, or they've got different sets, shall we say. And it's because when we think, we act, and we feel, and this is all based on past experiences. And as we said, we're a software program. And so how we think and feel and act creates a state of being, because every emotion, which is energy in motion, every emotion has a biochemistry with that. And if you've been paying attention, it's the biochemistry that's magnetic. And so that's what pulls back into the field. So from a quantum perspective, as I talked about, your thoughts send out into the field, they're electric, and the magnetic aspect is the biochemistry. So it's really important to be in a state of being of what it feels like once you've achieved. Remember, time is a construct that we've created. It doesn't actually exist. Past, present, future is running simultaneously. So if you're looking in order to create a new future or a different outcome in the future, to change the trajectory, shall we say, of a career or whatever it is you're wanting to experience, then we need to change our personal reality. Otherwise, our state of being and our body is driving our reality that's happening. And so to disrupt yourself takes a huge amount of energy that has you have to spend a lot of time being conscious and being aware of your thoughts, but also again being aware of the state of being. So no matter what is happening, that you're honoring it for the experience and the observation that it is of what your soul needs to experience, and we don't always agree with what we've signed up for, unfortunately. So best thing we can do here, knowing what we know about the body being like a quantum computer, create an awareness of your own behavior. Otherwise, it just becomes predictable, and you can predict your future. Maybe not exactly, but you'll be able to predict it in that, you just keep hitting up against the same brick wall, shall we say. So where are we? DNA plays a central role in this the process of biocomputation, because it's able to read and process the different information associated in these invisible realms. As I've said before, it's a bioacoustic and a biophotonic antenna. That's really its purpose. It's how you connect. It's how you connect to the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi of your soul frequency. So many are disconnected or confused because the souls have been fragmented through events in their lives, or is that we have inherited beliefs and values that have nothing to do with us as what we've chosen for our experience here on Earth. So it embeds the DNA embeds that subtle information, the information you can't see, but you can certainly sense it. And I feel this is where anxiety is one of my favorite examples, for so many experience it. But what is anxiety anyway? So anxiety is right at your solar plexus. It's your intuition. It's your gut brain. The vagus nerve wanders down. It's the wandering nerve. It's in it, and it's supplies, or is mainly a sensory nerve from the visceral right up into the brainstem, and it's got a superhighway connection to the limbic system, which is where you've recorded all of your experiences and emotions and memories and things like that. So anxiety is really where your biofield is processing information much, much, much faster than what your brain can comprehend. And so it's your alarm bells that's saying, I don't like, there's something wrong here. And so we're constantly reading that information. And so that's what, where our DNA is sending and receiving all the time as well. And the biofield web is constructed by field lines that intertwine. They kind of intertwine like the helix of the DNA, which is why it's all embedded. We're just really in a big swarm of energetic fields. We're vibrations. we're not even real. And then you go, yeah, but I can see you and I can hear you, Jam. Yeah, okay. And you could probably touch me also and say that I'm real. But that's only your body's experience of that, and it's a perception of that. Some will say we're constantly hallucinating, and the difference between a hallucination and a reality is one that we've made sense of. That's it. So reality is that hallucination you've made sense of. That's, I think, what I'm trying to say. Yeah, parallel timelines are happening all the time. There are beings that we don't necessarily see because we don't have the detection for it, yet you'll sense, you can sense that like a mile away if you're in tune. So you can shape your genetic destiny. And if you recall, and I will put it up again at some point, I did a talk with Dr. Bruce Lipton not long ago, and he is the father of epigenetics. Back in the 1960s, he discovered that you can change your genes, and it's the environment that will do that. So we only express 1.5% of our DNA. a teeny bit, you know. There's 98.5% of your DNA is not manifested, it's unexpressed, and it's really kind of there to tap into, because that holds all the genetic codes. So if you're only tapping into 1.5%, and you're doing that on an unconscious level, then you're really not in control at all, are you? However, we can influence our DNA and how it's expressed. So DNA really, it sequences to produce proteins, which are really the building blocks of life. And if you go, it's all the instructions on how to develop, how to reproduce, how to survive, how to maintain. And so if you've been told, and if you're still believing the outdated central dogma of that your genes are your genes and there's nothing you can do, well, change your mindset on that, because that's been proven wrong a very long time ago. It just hasn't hit mainstream quite so much, because if we knew how we could change our genes and how our genes are expressed, then there would be no, well, I can tell you what we'd see. We'd see chronic illnesses disappear. We would see spontaneous remissions of the no cure. Remember, what does no cure mean? It means I can't cut it out, can't burn it out, can't poison it anymore. Doesn't mean that there isn't the possibility existing of a full restoring of whatever illness somebody or disease somebody is experiencing. But you know, as long as you're healthy and you're balanced, you're not going to question any of this. It's not really until you're faced with an illness or, which I guess this is sort of what's prompted me to dig. And I know I always knew that externally everything looked okay. And I know within myself, things were far from okay. And it's taken personally quite a long time to really come through the other side of complete burnout, is probably the best thing to say, and of becoming a slave to beliefs and values that were imprinted, I suppose, at a time that was very vulnerable in my life. And that's why I want to share it, because once you start to, unless you've been there, you don't question any of this. So if you don't disrupt it, and this is something that I've had to learn and still learning about, having to continue to disrupt these seed patterns and creating more awareness of what it means to be me and to be a human experiencing life on this earth. So I feel if I can share some of this, so that if there's anybody out there who's questioning and knowing things aren't quite right, but you can't put your finger on it, then if I can wake one person up, I'd be happy. So when you're looking at these spontaneous healing, so I mean, what has all this field of cellular biology got to do with quantum physics, and why do we even need to know? Why would anybody want to know? Well, it's so we can access these spontaneous remissions, so we can access these different experiences of higher vibrations, whatever it is that your heart desires. Remember, your heart field is your portal, essentially, to the field. So there's somewhat through thoughts, but it's when you're having heart and brain coherence that you're really, truly able to get in and do some quantum leaping. And at the moment, quantum leaping is quite fast, shall we say. So careful what you're wishing for out there. So 4 stages of healing is that, first of all, it's been able to, you've got to believe that spontaneous remissions are possible. And if that's not a belief system that you hold, then that's likely to be something that will hold things back. Anita Moorjani is somebody I suggest people do go and have a look at. She's got an incredible story of a spontaneous remission from stage 4 cancer, and she was riddled with cancer. Dr. Joe Dispenza tells a lot of stories, and she has a lot of stories in his book, Becoming Supernatural, as well. So I feel hearing from people who have experienced these is a really great start to be able to open awareness that this is possible. These are possible. We need to believe that believe in the knowing that we are greater than this physical body. And that's a big one. As I've talked about, you're more nothing than something. This is not an opinion. This is, in fact, scientific. It's been proven. You're 99.99999999999% nothing, empty space. And even that 0.0000001% of something that you are in the quantum realm is just energy vortexes. So believing that you're bigger than this, you are much bigger than this. In fact, you extend through the whole entire cosmos. So you're a light being, and you are definitely from somewhere else. We all are. And that's an interesting journey as well. So believe it's possible. Believe that you're bigger than just human. Learn to disrupt past behavior and translate a new awareness. And this is how you make changes in your biofield information. This is how you tell the universe, you know what, change the dial. We're bringing in a different experience here. Sometimes I wonder, it's those subconscious patterns that are sending things out you need to be mindful of. And finally, we need to reinvent, and you do that through understanding your past and the patterns and how environments are linked to dis-ease. You cannot get well in the same environment that made you sick. And I'll say that again. You just can't. You cannot get well in the same environment that made you sick. Which is often why people, need to remove themselves from a situation, which is why retreats are so wonderful, because they create a different energetic input, and so therefore it makes things easier to have coherence. When you have coherence within your system, you have more clarity. And with more clarity, as I've mentioned before, you end up being able to be aware of the infinite possibilities that exist, so you can make different choices and better choices. And then you need to rehearse. You need to rehearse, who is this person in the future? How do we step into that space? Because you cannot expect a different experience if you're going to continue with the same habits, if you continue with the same thoughts, if you continue with the same patterns and behaviors. And that's how quantum physics in the field of cellular biology is so important. And so given that most of our genes are not even actualized, how you access full potentiality of the genes is through, going inwards. And I've talked about that, meditation and coherence. So you create this loop of awareness, and that's when you start to get the change in the biofield, and then your DNA can be redesigned, and it happens. And then it will be re-expressed, and because it's re-expressed differently, you're sending out a different signal to the realm, and that's how things change. It can happen as fast as you want, because time is a construct. All right, so it's important to understand just even the basis that conflict generates dis-ease. And nobody and no thing is worth getting unwell over. So when you're working at the biofield level with meditation through visualization, etc., when you start to work in that level, then you really do declutter the negative reality or the aspects of your realm that you're tired of working through. Maybe there's never enough money. I mean, that language in itself is incredibly powerful. You're reaffirming through those words and that feeling to the universe that that's exactly what's happening. And so it goes, yeah, that's what's happening, and keeps sending you that. So consider your thoughts and your belief, especially related to dis-ease and illness. And because the expression of life is the expression of proteins, if you continuously give the cell the same orders from the same repetitive attitudes, behaviors, thoughts, feelings, then you make the same chemical peptides. So what are chemical peptides? Chemical peptides instruct the body to repair and to grow, to maintain, anti-aging, for example, as well. And they're so important, in fact, that they've tried to synthesize this. Can you believe it? Of course they have. Pharmaceutical companies are trying to create a synthetic version of what you can generate yourself. They disempower each and every one of us humans with the poisons that they put into our system, because there's no way your body can operate to the same degree with something synthetic versus something that is endogenously created. So if you're sending out the same chemical peptides and you're not sending any new signals to the cell, then you're not activating any new gene expression. Now remember, you're only actually ever expressing about 1.5% of your DNA. There's 98.5% there to tap, my friends. There's so much power that we hold if we know how. So if you're continuing to send the same signals based on past experiences, same sensations, etc., then you're repeating the same thoughts, and they're either genetically wired or connected to the same familiar emotional attitude from experiences gone by. And so what do? You get much of the same. Much of the same. So if there's anything I've learned over the years through my own experiences with visualization, and then also working in the elite Olympic realm, visualization alone is not quite enough. You need to begin to sense, what does it feel like when X, Y, and Z has happened. How would that feeling be in the body, and then to maintain that feeling for as long as you can. And any time you get knocked out of that sensation, to try to come back to that and hold that space. So I think that's the problem. We end up getting knocked out and into unconscious programs too frequently. So just to recap that one, if you're living by the same feelings every day, rest assured that those chemicals will overuse the cell's DNA and begin to make altered proteins. And with the cells will begin to malfunction, basically. I think I mentioned that yesterday. And that's from some of Dr. Joe's work. Evolve your brain, I believe. I've been through that one. But I guess it's this new concept, right, of Biofields Therapy. No, let me rephrase that. It's not a new concept. The ancient teachings have always worked at this level. It's that when you break out of Western indoctrinations, and that's where my medical training has been so far, is predominantly in the Western realm, where you're trying to change physical with physical. And that's not how you do it. If you want to change physical in terms of health, we need to tap into those higher energy fields. So, and it relates not only to health, but also all other experiences in this world. It's how you unleash your full potential. What else did I want to say? I don't know. We're in this holographic state, believe it or not, whether you want to believe it or not. And consciousness, yes, of course, consciousness is being conscious and aware of what you're doing, what you're thinking and your feeling. So don't forget to tap into that too, because consciousness is the multidirectional matrix of all of the fields and the hyperfields that we live in. It's the grounding of all being, basically. And it's really, matter that we've learned to hold on to. Matter is just kind of a magic trick that is embedded in our human observation. Yeah, the way that we have learned to experience. So that's all through our software programming. Imagine, compare it to it's a visual reality that we're experiencing. We get those ocular, have you ever tried those ocular vision glasses? That's such a hoot, right? And it looks so real. and you feel like you're actually in this realm. Well, we are, really. So step back a bit and think that there's your higher self is actually in control here. And ego comes in based on what we've been taught and told and experienced and have known to be right or wrong, or whatever we've valued something. But when actually, if you hand the reins over to your higher self, you'll have a whole nother experience in this place, because that's why you're here, really. Yes. So what I will leave you with in this quote here is that consciousness is the core reality holding the entire multidimensional universe together in its unified field. And within our consciousness can be found the cause of our dis-ease and the source of our healing as well. And there's a Nobel laureate, Dr. Albert, and I'm definitely going to butcher his last name, so he's a Russian man. And he was the father of modern biochemistry. He noted that in every culture and in every medical tradition before ours, so before this Western central dogma of health care, in every culture and every medical tradition before ours, healing was accomplished by moving energy. So, you're not only surrounded by energy and vibration, you are energy and vibration. That is it. That's all we are. Pretty cool when you think about it. So, go and enjoy. I'll keep breaking it down. A little bit of repetition here and there, but that's kind of how we learn. And as we step into this more, I hope that you're able to find some insight and some wisdom to either say, yep, that sounds right, Jam, or, by golly, what you're saying sounds quite far out there, but I'm going to give it a thought. And as I say to people, once you see, you can't unsee. So let's create some magic in this realm. I'm out of here. It's a Friday afternoon, and I think I might take my daughter out for something to eat. Love and light always. Remember, gratitude signals to the universe that it's already happened. So be grateful for all that you have, and really get clarity on what it is that you are wanting to experience. Because if you're sending out mixed signals, you're going to get mixed signals back. Hard lessons, man. Peace out. Yes, I would like to. Thank you.